there was a irrigation ditch that the side I was on, the edge of that ditch was higher than the other side. So it looked like just an expansive field.
Sure.
Yeah, I couldn't see the ditch at all. And so this process, what I was doing is I was driving a UTV, and we had a soil probe on the side. I had buckets in the passenger seat that were all, labeled according to zone. I had a laptop mounted in there with the map on it and the GPS location. So I had to track where I was going. So I was taking soil from the probe, looking at the laptop, making sure I was where I was supposed to be, doing all this at, 30 miles an hour in a field, barely paying attention to where I'm going because we got to get this stuff done. And
yeah,
I remember looking down at the laptop, and then I just feel the whole thing drop. And then I look forward, and there's the bottom of the ditch.
So you just drove right down straight into the ditch at 30 miles an hour.
Yep.
In a UTV.
In a UTV.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I wasn't wearing a seatbelt because we needed to be agile and everything. And
oh, no.
Yeah, it was bad. I remember opening my eyes and the whole cab was covered in blood. And apparently my face hit the metal headboard on top of the windshield, and my knees hit the dashboard when I collided. And I crawled out of there, and I was in shock, and called my boss, and he was a couple hours away. The closest guy to me was about 45 minutes away, but he had
Lordy.
no idea what was going on.
Yeah.
And I climb out, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to get this thing out of here, and I got to get back to work and all this stuff. And yeah, I was completely out of it. So a lot of communication, guys going back and forth. I end up getting to the hospital 6 hours later.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're like out in the middle of acres of land.
We're at the North Carolina, South Carolina border.
Oh, wow.
In the middle of farmland.
Yeah.
And so I end up being driven back up to Raleigh to go to the hospital up there. Yeah. And it was...
What came out of that? Did you have a lot of broken bones or...
So I almost took my nose off with a bolt on the headboard, but
my Lord.
That ended up being okay, thankfully. But yeah, fractured that. I had a severe concussion, which was my 4th concussion.
Jeez.
And that put me out of it. I couldn't speak right or, those sorts of things for a while.
Wow.
I couldn't call and make doctor's appointments. Actually, I really owe a lot to my sister, who's always been there for me. She heard about it. She drove down, left work, grabbed a couple things, and drove down to set up appointments for me, and just make sure I was able to eat and take my medication, things like that.
Because at that time you're not living at home because your parents had moved. Did they move down closer to there, or
no? This was like 9 months after I graduated, so my family's all back up in Maryland still.
Okay.
I'm just kind of there, living with roommates, just out of college, working. So
yeah,
it was.
How scared were you?
I wasn't terribly scared. The whole thing was a blur, like a haze. I just realized what had happened. I wasn't really concerned about my health. I think because of the shock, I was mostly worried with everything I wasn't getting done.
Right. You're like, I need to get back to work here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was wild. But, that kind of set me up to, really learn some hard lessons about life. Mm-hmm. And that ended up bringing me back up to Maryland.
Okay.
And so when I moved back up here, I was just kind of figuring out, what my life was going to be,
and moved back into the El Casa de Mom and Dad.
I sure did.
You sure did.
Yep.
That's a tough transition when you're completely out on your own, college. You go out and work, you're living with some boys, and now you got to go back home.
It really is, and I give my parents a lot of credit because they understood it was going to be difficult, and so they said we're not setting a curfew, we're not going to be checking up on you, you kind of live how you live. Yeah. We just want to see you, make sure you're okay, that kind of thing every once in a while. So yeah, they gave me a lot of latitude when I moved back in. Yeah. Which I really appreciate.
Definitely.
Made the transition a lot easier.
What do you think if you could nail down your greatest lesson that you learned from that period in your life where you were out before you came back home during that time period of having that breakup and going through the accident, what's the greatest lesson that you got from that?
So I grew up in the church, and I had a lot of struggle with my faith through the years. But that moment after my girlfriend and I broke up, I said, I'm done trying to, live on, anybody else's terms. I'm just going to do what I want to do when I want to do it, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
so I pretty much saw the results of that, like in my life over the next course of, 6 to 9 months was, just kind of what that looked like.
Yeah.
And where it ended up, I realized that, I am not the ultimate say-so of my life. I actually, it made me think of the poem Invictus that was often quoted by Nelson Mandela. Mm-hmm. And the end line of that is, I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. Mm-hmm. And I think there is something very to be said, and not to take away from, working hard and doing it yourself, and, that American pick yourself up by the bootstraps, and, those things should be, sought after and earned. And I just believe that there are forces outside of my control. And for those things, I need to have the faith to know that they're going to be taken care of by someone else. Mm-hmm. And so things can happen to me, but if I stick to my values, if I stick to my faith, mm-hmm. Then things will turn out okay. That was the other thing, was no matter what's going on, it'll be okay. You
wow.
know what I mean?
I mean, I feel like I need to hear this, because in real estate, there's just so many ups and downs. Mm-hmm. You can either be really, really busy, or you can be not so busy, right. and then you're worried about, like, where's the next transaction coming from, who's going to be looking to buy, you think of this fictitious future where everything's going to seize up. Mm-hmm. And then what are we going to do? And then we deplete our savings and you start going down this rabbit hole. And in 11 years of doing real estate, coming up on 11 years, believe it or not, it's always worked out. It's mm-hmm. like, so why do I continue to worry when I should just have faith that if I continue to do the right things, everything will work out?
So did you like this episode of the TMA Connection? Well, you might want to check this one out right here. Go ahead, click it.